It's Tuesday, you know what time it is. Front Runner Podcast Collective is back on the air. I am your humble host, Vince. And today's podcast is all about playoff basketball and draft picks. That's what it's going to be about until something else happens. We don't have anything else to talk about, so we damn sure are going to talk about some NBA basketball for sure. Now, we want to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers and what they did last night. I also want to make mention to the Golden State Warriors in the Houston Rockets game as well. And we're going to finish it off with some draft prospects that are a little bit further down the list than your top 5, top 6. So that is what is on the table for today. But how we get there, how we get to this journey, always entertaining, right? That's what we try to do here at Front Runner Podcast Collective for you, the people. I want to take personal responsibility for the last podcast. It is all on me. I was the big dummy that did not set up my equipment correctly. I was the big idiot that did not do this check and then get into the middle of it instead of stopping it and going, oh, this sounds horrible, let's make some adjustments. That was on me, nobody else. Soraya's off the hook 100% because I make the decisions when it comes to this. So I do apologize. We tried to fake the funk on a nasty dunk with the AI situation. We just wanted the stuff we were talking about. To me was so important that my voice, even though I like doing it and I did do it, we wanted to get it out there. So it was a bad faux pas, my bad, never will happen again. I learned so many mistakes, just learned so many lessons on that situation. So I wanted to get that off the table, get that out of the way so we can go ahead and discuss all the weekend basketball, and we have to specifically talk about what happened last night. The reason why we got to start last night is because there is things that you sit here and you don't quite understand, you know, until it is made painfully aware that this is what is going on. Well, we kind of had one of those situations in the NBA. And what I mean by that is that, we here at Front Runner Podcast Collective, we ask the questions. We ask the questions that a lot of people want to have answers to. And the one question that I wanted to have answer to was the whole, was Cleveland good enough? Were they as good as what we were seeing? Are we here? Is this what we kind of need to do? And last night, they pulled it all out and showed us what the hell was going on. Cleveland, first of all, how I want to start this. A little hot, a little sweaty, you know what I'm saying? Working hard. How I want to start this is twofold. One, a couple years ago, last year, we saw the Darius Garland situation. We saw the broken jaw. He lost so much weight and then came back, right? And sometimes these teams need to mature. Sometimes these teams need to marinate. It could be a coaching philosophy. It could be just saying, hey, you know what? We've been trying to climb this mountain for 3 years now. and I'm over myself. And whatever it is that I need to do to make this team get over the hump, I'm going to do those things in spades. In Cleveland, we talk about playoff awards all the time. We talk about how you can just look at a situation and go, hey, this is where we are. And Cleveland sweeping out the Miami Heat, who has been a absolute nightmare for teams in the past, and doing it in the fashion that they did it in, because that's the most important thing about this. It was the highest point differential in the NBA playoff history. 122 point differential between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Miami Heat. That's no joke right there. That is documented proof, documented history that we got to see over these 4 games. We got to see documented dominance. That's what we got to see. How did we get here? How did we get here? How did we get to this situation? Is it coaching? Is it roster construction, masterclass? Or is it Donovan Mitchell understanding that less is more, trusting his teammates? Is it the growth and maturity and the growth of the game of Evan Mobley? Is it these things? And the reason why we ask these questions is not just because we're just asking them to fill up time. We're asking them because we really want answers to them. We really want some sort of tangible evidence that says, this is what I'm seeing right now. I can track this. This is something that I'm watching in real time and what have you. And what I mean by all of this is that I thought still, even though we've given them a lot of praise throughout the year, I thought the Cleveland Cavaliers, I thought the guard were too small. I didn't know how it was going to act. Now here's the thing. It is Orlando. Orlando cannot score. You swept out Orlando. But the impressiveness of how you swept them, we must dive deeper. And that's what we're here to do today. So what I want to talk about is the defensive versatility under pressure that the Cleveland Cavaliers has. And what I am meaning by that is that Jared Allen can switch. Evan Mobley can switch. Max Strus, whatever you think of him, he does understand defensive assignments. You replace him with a DeAndre Hunter, and the guards. The guards play a big role in this. You keep your man in front of you. This is a good time for all, and it makes me happy. It makes a lot of people happy. So what the Cleveland Cavaliers just did to the Miami Heat wasn't just a beat down, it was a blueprint. They shot 54.7% from the field. They shot 46.8% from 3 to the Miami to the Miami Heat as far as that's concerned. I said Orlando earlier. I'm sorry about that. But the real takeaway is this, is the shot profile of some key individual dudes. And you'll say, well, we're going to talk about Donovan Mitchell. No. We know what Donovan Mitchell is. He's certified. It's these pieces that you pick up along the way. It's the Ty Jeromes of the world. The translatable shot making that he showed the whole entire series. Shouts out to what he's gone through in his journey, going through the injuries and whatnot, and getting back on the court and playing at such a high level. Then the Cleveland Cavaliers, they trade for DeAndre Hunter at the trade deadline. And mind you, this is a good trade. We called it a good trade when it happened. We think it's a good trade now. And what he gives them is what Strus could not give them. A 6'7", 6'8" swing who can guard 2s, 3s, 4s. Very good defensive versatility. A guy that is what's the word I'm looking for? A guy that understands his role. He was with the Atlanta Hawks. He was a role player there. He comes here. He understands that, hey, they have a pretty solidified team. I might come off the bench. I'm going to do what I need to do to fulfill my role. And he does. He does do that. And he plays expert defense. And he continues to show his physicality. And he gives them something that they desperately needed. If you're going to have Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland on the court together, you need a physicality that DeAndre Hunter can provide for you. So these are things that we look for when we start talking about roster construction. Now, the third thing is the thing that you can't expect for, but you hope for the best, is the real-time growth, showing increasingly two-way impact and elite defensive versatility, and that is one Evan Mobley. Obviously, he has shot the ball better from three. He has shown even more flexibility, becoming more of a menace when getting out to guards and wings out on the perimeter. He feels comfortable in space. Nothing seems to bother him when it comes to that. And you're looking at a guy who also became more assertive, asking for the basketball and understanding what his specific hotspots were on the floor and how could he efficiently get to those spots and be successful in those spots. So a lot of work has been done behind the scenes with Evan Mobley, and he has taken that next step and has gone perfectly with everything that has gone on in Cleveland. Soraya says this about DeAndre Hunter: he's cost control playoff assets who fits across matchups. That's positional flexibility. Teams crave this in the postseason. Can't agree more. The one thing that we always talk about is the 6'7", 6'8" wing. If they have the capability of being able to make pretty good passes or whatever, they can see over the defense. They provide a certain release valve when you're getting blitzed. It's just a better situation if you have one. And there is a difference between a 6'6" and a 6'8" one. I'm sorry. There's just a difference. And you sit there and DeAndre Hunter will never be compared to Magic Johnson or LeBron James. But his ability to see over the defense, his athleticism, his physicality that he provides for this team, it is so imperative. And now we can get to the Evan Mobley of it all. The on-off splits on defense tell the full story. The Heat shot 8.9% worse at the rim with Evan Mobley in the game. That's the impact that doesn't show in the box score. It just screams in the war rooms. This is what people who make decisions, who evaluate talent in the NBA, that's what they look for. Those are the type of things that you can pretty much you'll hear as far as like rim deterrence. You'll hear the words like that. You'll hear phrases like that speaking to people who work in buildings in the NBA. Now, the one thing that I want to talk about with the Cleveland Cavaliers is that we did have a question. We move the goalposts, right? In podcasts, in content, we move the goalposts. So basically what I'm saying here is that we started off with, we were very cynical whether Donovan Mitchell was going to stay. Well, he solved all that. Stayed, signed a contract. He has a contract extension. The other part of the thing when we say, well, what is this? Is this deemed successful? Do we think they can make a real run in the NBA Finals? The thing that I brought up, thing that other podcasters brought up, how would they work around the size limitations of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland? Now, we know you have the two big rim protectors back there. That's a help. But as we saw over the last couple of years with the Cleveland Cavaliers, that there was something missing. There was just something just quite not right. Now, you can say offensively, they obviously did not have the trust in the ball movement that they do now. You are 100% right. We have empirical evidence that shows us this. We have evidence in the analytics that show us this, because their assists percentages have gone up team-wise, individually-wise. We also see more hockey assists with them. We also see more just ball movement in general with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, if that's being said, you still did have this question. And I kind of want to make this analogy, and it kind of reminded me of the show that was on FX, The Bear. The regular season, that's prep, right? Round one versus the Miami, smooth service. But round two, when the tickets are flying, there's no sauce left, fourth quarter isolation scrambles, chaos service. When you find out who really has feel for the game and who's just running the script, Donovan Mitchell has been in high leverage playoff games early into his career, pretty much throughout his career. He has not been able to get it over the top. Now, you can say flawed teams, you can say flawed rosters, roster construction, what have you. Donovan Mitchell is the head of the snake for the Cleveland Cavaliers. As far as Donovan Mitchell goes, so goes the Cleveland Cavaliers. Doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't have help. Darius Garland is an absolute stud at point guard and provides not just point production, but just ease as far as ball handling abilities, getting them into the right sets, getting them into the right looks. All of those very important things that people are looking for in a guard, in somebody who's going to be a primary ball distributor to your offense. But the bench resilience is something that I want to talk about. The Ty Jeromes of the world, the Sam Merrills of the world, the Dean Wades of the world. Obviously now DeAndre Hunter being part of that. These are guys that they built. These are guys that they player developed through their system. Yes, you can say, well, Ty Jerome was with OKC and he was with the Golden State Warriors and this and that and everything like that, but you can't tell me about Sam Merrill and you can't tell me about Dean Wade. These are guys that they continue to roll out there for like the last couple years. Dean Wade maybe another year longer, right? But they saw something. And they said, okay, well, this is how we kind of want to play. Is there a way that we can diminish the liabilities that they have and accentuate what they do well? Kenny Atkinson has gotten that out of his bench. These guys feel emboldened. They feel empowered. They feel empowered not just to keep the lead where it is, but to grow the lead, to make the lead even more robust, to make it even easier for your starters that are going to come in, who are going to be carrying the bulk of the minutes. By the way, Donovan Mitchell is still around the same amount of minutes that he was in during the regular season, so nothing's changed from my guy. Now, also, what's been impressive about this whole situation is that the Cleveland Cavaliers have done this without Garland for the last couple games. Like, Garland's been out, nursing a toe injury. So now, you're saying, well, that's the depth. That's the depth of the team. You're right. It's the depth of the team. Shouts out to Ty Jerome, Sam Merrill, and the boys doing it real big, handling their business, and making it just fun for everyone. Because Ty Jerome is a blast. He is an absolute breath of fresh air. He's constantly moving. He is a thinking man's basketball player. He shoots the rock so well. This dude is about to get paid. Paid big time money all over the place. As our guy Pat McAfee would say, he's yeeting all over himself. But he's probably about to get paid. Orlando Magic, are you lurking? That's a team that needs some guards in a desperate way. But Cleveland has shown me two things. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with how they played. I'm very impressed with the demeanor that they showed. This is a game that they didn't have to go out and play hard. This is a game they could have went out and lost and then took it back home and won Game 5. But it was so imperative to them. It was so meaningful to them to just go ahead and sweep the Miami Heat out of the playoffs. Now, mind you, this is not the Miami Heat team of old. This is not 2021 Jimmy Butler running around here looking like a crazy man or whatever the case may be, just getting buckets and guarding the best, players in the league. Nah. This was a Jimmy Butler-less Miami Heat team. Andrew Wiggins was out there getting cardio for the Heat players. And that leads me to the Miami Heat. What do you do with them at this point? Like, what do you do? Where are you with them? Because it's kind of bleak. I mean, we saw Andrew Wiggins. You're like, okay. We also now saw Andrew Wiggins in the playoffs, and we're like, oh, okay. Different story. And really, what do you have as far as asset management? What do you have for assets? What can you give up? Who can you absorb in? How much of your core do you have to give up to even start doing this? Are you worried about giving up any of your cores, especially after the 55-point beatdown that you took Game 4? You got Tyler Hero out here popping his gums off saying we ain't going out like that in Game 4. Oh yeah, you did. You went out just like that. Actually, you went out worse. And I'm going to tell you right now, your homeboys in the Memphis area are so excited for you. Because they had the worst point differential in the game. But now you do. The Miami Heat. The Miami Heat did historic things last night. They got down by 60 plus. With Pat Riley, Alonzo Mourning, and the brain trust in the building. And that's the performance you put out. And Bam Adebayo, after the game, said this. He said that silver-haired gentleman, he doesn't like this and expect changes. We can all expect changes forthcoming. That is what Bam Adebayo said. And he's right. This is going to leave a real bad taste in Pat Riley's mouth. Now, you can tell me you didn't get a lot back for Jimmy Butler. then you can also tell me, how could you have gotten a lot back for Jimmy Butler? Knowing that he was on the last year of his deal, knowing that he'd basically been pounding in Miami the whole time this past season, and now you give him up, you get Andrew Wiggins back, a couple other pieces and draft pick, whatever, but it's not a haul. It's not a haul at all. So again, where do the Miami Heat go to make that next step where they're not a play-in team, where they're a top 6 team? Is there a trade out there for them to get? Is there somebody for them to acquire, basically? We can hope, speculate, we can do all these things, but really what it's basically leading us to is the draft. But before we get there, for the Miami Heat, you got Hero. Now, Hero was excellent in the regular season. The playoffs is a different animal. It exposes weaknesses. I've told you this. The playoffs are the truth seekers of the NBA. All flaws will be exposed in the playoffs. And Tyler Hero being just put into every pick and roll for a team that was just like, yo, we don't respect you and we don't respect your game. Then Jovic and Jaime Jaquez took steps back this year. The Jaime Jaquez thing was more drastic, because he's just kind of falling off the face of the cliff and he just forgot how to shoot. Weird. Not happy about that one. The Heat are loaded with wings, but they lack creation. That's a positional scarcity that will fail. It will fail them. And front office know you can't survive without 2 elite shot creators by round 2. I don't disagree with Soraya's statement there. I do not. This offseason for the Miami Heat got real. One, what does Pat Riley do? Where does he align the stars and get the people in the building? And who does he get? Is he taking on bad money in the sense of maybe my problem for your problem? Because that's not going to help. Is there some sort of Luka Doncic-esque trade about to happen where somebody's just sick of the superstar and they're just giving me, 25 cents on the dollar? You hope not. But stranger things have happened now. I don't know. Some things I used to sit here and go, this totally makes sense. This, Now it's like, I don't know. Now back to the Cavaliers. I want to talk to them. I want to talk about them as a contender. And like I said, being skeptical leads you to asking questions that can probably get you a more clarifying answer. So I did that. And this is where we put on just our GM lenses and start trying to see what they have. They have defensive versatility with Mobley, Hunter, Allen. They want to dust off a Okoro, they can. Donovan Mitchell can play some defense when motivated. But it's the bigs, and can Strus also provide enough whatever moxie that he has, to the starting lineup. But at the end of the day, it does not matter. It doesn't matter unless you have these bigs. These bigs are it. And there's 2 of them. Both the same height. Both move around pretty well. Both play excellent defense and seem to care about it. The shot profile and the usage efficiency of Donovan Mitchell this year has been absolutely amazing. We talked about him taking a step back. We talked about him understanding that getting more out of his teammates is going to help him in the grand scheme of things, which is to try to get yourself in position to win an NBA championship. That is the most important thing, especially to a guy like Mitchell at this point, who's done it all. Now, if Darius Garland does stay out for a while, but it doesn't seem like this is a long-term situation, their playmaking is going to be challenged by somebody at some point. Front offices love teams until they hit a matchup. They hit a matchup with friction. The Cavs next round will be a test. The roster construction logic in real time. Can their parts fix problems under pressure? It is a question. It's still the question. Itty bitty guards against like regular sized guards. Where are we at? Cleveland fans, are you so confident that your team is just going? Hashtag let them know. Hit me up on Twitter at FrontRunnerPC. Also at Rhea_Funch FRPC. And then Blue Sky for me is the same. For Rhea it's different because she's fancy. So for Blue Sky for her, it's FRPC-Rhea.bsky.social. And for me, it's just FrontRunnerPC. Lock it up. Get it. Cleveland's depth is not just good, it's cost controlled and it's scalable across the next couple years. I don't think they're really in trouble as far as money is concerned, because I think everybody's basically being paid, so they're good there. Alright, I want to get to something real quick. We're going to talk about Jimmy Butler. We're going to show Jimmy Butler a lot of love, but I have this friend in my life, and he swore up and down to me that Jalen Green was him when he got drafted, when the struggles happened the first year, hell, even into the second year. Let's blame the coach. Not saying the coach didn't play a part, because he did. My guy was 10 toes down for Jalen Green, and I just didn't quite see it. I was just like, I don't know. I just don't know, because the one thing that I like to see out of a guard or a swing, whatever you want to call Jalen Green, is that at some point there's a light bulb that comes on, the great ones. And I was told, somebody was trying to sell me a bag of goods on that he was going to turn out to be. Listen, I'm not saying he's going to turn out to be Michael Jordan or anything like that. But when I think of, hey, are you a top 2 guy on your team? Are you bringing them to like deep playoff runs, things of that nature? I could never get there with Jalen Green. I could never get there. I thought the drives to the baskets don't have the purpose that they need to. There doesn't seem to be a plan most of the time. He's so athletic. He's so giftedly athletic. It is boggling to me that there is not a floater that is consistent or a layup package that is consistent from him. It is amazing to me for him to be that athletic. The jump shot is less than consistent. And bro, if you take 8 shots in a game and you want to be the one, you know you ain't the one. You know you're not the one when you taking 8 shots, bro. I'm sorry. You got Steph out here running around with his head cut off, basically, trying to get open to take threes every second he on the court, basically, and you can't get more than 8 shots off against Golden State of all teams. Okay. All right. Well, that leads us to this. Warriors 109, Rockets 106. The Warriors take a commanding 3 games to 1 lead over the Houston Rockets, the number 2 overall seed in the Western Conference. Jimmy Butler couldn't even lift his leg last night. That's not an exaggeration. He said he was still scooting down the court, and still he outscored Houston in the fourth quarter. This is playoff DNA. This is what it looks like. This is what it smells like. And this is what you want from Jalen Green. What you saw out of Jimmy Butler, who is a absolute dog. He's an absolute dog. Soraya had this to say about Jimmy. This man dragged Houston's soul. He couldn't run, he couldn't elevate, but he could control the fourth quarter like he had cheat codes. They're not just skill, that's mythology in a Warriors jersey. I don't disagree, because everybody on the planet knows Jimmy got one move: the pump fake. And just like Pavlovian's dog, those young Houston Rockets fail for the pump fake every single time. That dude got to the line in the fourth quarter like it was nobody's business, and he was doing his thing. Jimmy finished with 27 points on 7 of 12 shooting. Here's the key stat: 12 of 12 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, +2 in the box plus minus. He played the entire fourth quarter on one leg. 14 of 27 points in the fourth quarter. He was responsible for 52% of all of their points. 5 clutch free throws in the final minute. And he sealed the game with a rebound over the Goliath that is Steven Adams. So, this wasn't Jimmy just playing hurt. This was Jimmy weaponizing pain. He was controlling the tempo. He was drawing fouls. He was doing all of the playoff Jimmy things that we know that he can do. And here's the thing: if Dillon Brooks would have kept his damn mouth shut and left that man alone, you probably don't get this fourth quarter performance. But Jimmy seemed tentative early on in the game. He seemed very like, okay, I'm gonna try to, act as if, but I'm just gonna be kind of a ball mover and kind of a decoy. And then Dillon Brooks got in that man's face, and you could just see there was like a shift, and he was like, okay, it's on. And when it was on, that was it. And Jimmy Butler is going to take a challenge, and he is always going to be very confident that he's going to be able to succeed in whatever that challenge is in front of him. Now, we got a tactical impact situation in this game, which I thought was awesome. So the Warriors leaned small late, closing lineup: Podziemski, Butler, Draymond Green, no bigs whatsoever. They even used our guy GP2, Gary Payton II. They went small ball. They went microscopic ball. And Houston could not match their, what's the word I'm looking for? Houston just couldn't match the energy. Now, when the double bigs lineup was in there, very effective. And we'll get to how they got rid of that double big lineup in a second. But you're looking at a team right here. They outscored the Houston Rockets in clutch situation by 5. Houston had 0 fast break points in the fourth quarter, which they lived on through 3. Butler scored or assisted on 9 of the final 12 points. And Adams was a negative 13 against small ball. Well, that's because Steve Kerr did something really smart. They saw that their offense was being just stymied by Steven Adams. They just said, oh, okay, double big thing is working. How can we get ourselves out of this situation? We're gonna hack Steven Adams. Just gonna hack him up. Steve Kerr sat there and said, hey, we're not gonna be able to strategically do anything with Steven Adams in this lineup. They're going to get a ton of offensive rebounds. You saw it late. We'll talk about that later. But you saw it. He imposed his will onto this game, and there was nothing that the Golden State Warriors could do about Steven Adams. Except for what? He's a terrible free throw shooter, and Ime knew it, and as soon as they went to it, Ime took him out the game. He didn't even wait till he can get into free throws. As soon as they said, oh, we're going to intentionally foul you, basically, that was it. And they brought him back later in the game, when crunch time was on. He got him back in the game, and it took a superhuman effort by Jimmy Butler to get us to this point where the Golden State Warriors are up 3-1. What I wonder is we will see more double bigs, more rock fight type lineups as we get into Game 5. This is why Golden State made that bet. It isn't just a box score value. This is strategic. This is what they do. They prepare for everything. They don't leave anything unearthed. They try to take care of it. If this was the regular season, he'd be out for a week or two. But it's a playoff. Jimmy is never going to sit out for as long as you think he should. He's a rare player that adds value even when he's hurt. He makes everyone else value show up. Yes, he made GP2 look like a real basketball player. He even made Quentin Post look like a basketball player. That's a top tier playoff trait to have. Just basically to, in a sense, because of your aura, because of who you are, it elevates the role players on your squad. Like you giving them 5+ extra or whatever, just overall, because you just showed up. And he was a maestro. Dropping dimes, hockey assists, making the right passes, getting people to foul line. It was great. It was great to see. And Jimmy deserves his flowers. So, Jimmy, thank you for playing with a broke ass, basically. Bruise, contusion on your pelvic bone is nothing nice. Nothing nice. So the next thing we got to get to is Jalen Green. And Jalen Green, again, I'm going to ask the question of Houston Rockets fans. Are you at the point of when you see numbers like 8 points on 3 of 8 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3-point range, 5 turnovers in 25 minutes, 0 touches inside the paint in the second half, 3 turnovers from ball pressure alone. He wasn't just ineffective, he was removed. Buddy Hield, GP2, pressured him full court, and they had to take him out. Houston used him as a second side trigger man. The problem is that Green not a decision maker as of yesterday. One move guy in a 5 option environment. That didn't work. Well, here's the thing that I want to bring to other people's attention.
Segment.
Oh no, what just happened? Anyway, so here's the other thing that we need to talk about Jalen Green. I know that everybody wants to make him out to be this budding star or whatever because he was drafted very high. There was all this confliction about whether he was better than Cade Cunningham because they came out in the same draft, whatever the case may be. Cade Cunningham is a point guard. One, he's also 6'7", 6'8". Okay, so he's got physical tools that just allow him to be better. He has great court vision. Nice touch on his shot, which he had to work on. I'm not saying that Jalen Green is not a hard worker. I want to see the fruits of the labor. When, like, you can tell me last year, you could tell me about that incredible run and everything like that, but a lot of people will also tell you that March and early April are probably the easiest time to get buckets in the calendar year for the NBA. We've had a lot of, like, last month, superstars, Hall of Famers, whatever you want to call them. And then the next year, maybe to get a big contract because somebody remembers that last month of the season, and they're like, oh, remember when he went off, he's crazy, he finally figured it out. Get him on the squad, he's back to averaging 7. What's going on? Not great. Not great, Bob. So, I want to bring a couple numbers to you. Anthony Edwards, in his Game 4 performance, he had 34, 8, and 5 with a true shooting percentage of 60%. Now, these are all guys that are a little bit bigger than him, Anthony Edwards, same size. So, you compare that to the 8, 3, and 1 and the 5 turnovers. And you can talk about, look at the team that Anthony Edwards has. Well, really? Who has a better team? Who has a better team, really? Yes, they have Ant Edwards. Yes, they have James McDaniels, but I've heard all this depth that Houston has. All this depth. Now, you're not going to beat out our guy, Ant Edwards, but what we would like to see is those numbers be comparable, Jalen. In 8 shots in a playoff game, dog, I would rather you shoot 17 to 20 shots and be like, they just didn't go in. But next time they will. That's the type of guy I want to see from you. I can't see you be a shrieking violet now. You out here doing Wingstop commercials, painting your fingernails, all that. And listen, I do not care what you do. What I do care about is what you do on that court. I care about that. And you not showing up for your team, and you say, hey, well, Vince, you're being real rough. My guy, 8 shots is not a lot of shots. Not from the number 1 option, supposedly. So then that also begs the question. If you're not the number 1 option or the self-proclaimed number 1 option, well, how does your team see you? Because there are going to be some people on the market this offseason, so you might want to lock in your performance situation very quickly. The Houston Rockets need to get some more like slashers, so like some GP2s that maybe have a jump shot as well. They need some guys who are a little cerebral. When they see somebody blitzing the basketball, they know exactly what spot they're supposed to get to And then the guy who's throwing the pass knows exactly where the ball is going to as well. So, with all that, you're trying to figure out what he's going to be and how he's going to be it. The problem is that Jalen Green has never been a number 1 or a number 2. He possibly might be a number 3 on a really good team if you got some real strong number 1 and number 2 situations. But Houston, can we finally put this experiment to bed that no, he is not going to chase down Cade Cunningham. He is not going to be the number 1 option on your team. He is probably going to have to play a more subsidiary role, and he's going to have to understand that whoever is the guy who is going to get the 22 to 25 opportunities a night, he is going those opportunities because you failed to do what you needed to do. And it's okay, because listen, you're a tremendous talent, nice jump shot, all of that, complementary player, all of those things. These are great things. You're just not a $60-70 million dude. That's all. $60-70 million dudes take last shots. And they damn sure don't take 8 shots, even in a game where the physicality and whatever is what it is. They just don't do that. So now, get some water. That's right. We gotta get to that draft buzz. You know why we gotta get to that draft buzz? Because we got some interesting topics to talk about when it comes to the draft. We gotta talk about this real life situation that's going down. I want to ask people, and I'm not a big hey, this guy's moving up, this guy's moving down in the draft, all this other stuff. But do you care where people are picked? If it's your team and y'all have a top 5 pick, let's say for some reason you got a secondary pick, and that secondary pick was the 18th pick overall. 3 years from now, the 5th pick, he's good, he's alright. Man, somehow you hit on that 18th pick. This dude doing all the Nike commercials. He on all the McDonald's ads. He's doing stuff for Coach, Gucci, Travis Scott, doing collabs with him. Everything is happening. Do you care whether he was the 18th pick overall or the 3rd pick overall? Do you care? Good question to ask yourself. Because the question that I had was this. I've looked at a lot of Ace Bailey film, and I looked at some VJ Edgecombe film. I need to do a little bit more work. There's no doubt that Ace Bailey is a 6'10", 6'9" freak of nature, athletic tools out the yin yang, star upside scorer with space creation flashes. The space creation, he can create space, he just can't facilitate. Some of the questions about Ace Bailey are the handle issues, the decision making, are the big one. Shot profile, volatility. He loves shooting it. It doesn't matter where it's from. He likes to take tough shots, and he considers himself a tough shot maker. Now, Edgecombe is a freaky athlete. Compact frame for elite explosivity, high level two-way impact and motor, better passer than expected. That is true. Defensive versatility, high ceiling on that. People keep telling me that there are things that Ace Bailey could potentially do. He has great athleticism, and that can manifest itself in 3 or 4 ways. I'm oh, that's great. They say, well, the handle could get better because, he can get stronger, wrist gets stronger, the handle gets tighter, whatever the case may be. I'm like, okay, that could happen, right? Okay. So what else? And then, they hit you with like, oh, well, gotta work on the shot, go, we'll get the shot together, and everything should work out fine. I've never seen all three of those things hit on an NBA prospect. I just don't. You either have it or you don't. And for my guy Ace Bailey, is it going to turn on at some point? Are we going to see defensive pressure? Are we going to see you in the passing lanes grabbing shots, taking them the other way for a dunk? Those are the questions that I have. Because Edgecombe looks like a dog. He gets to the basket whenever he wants. He kind of reminds me of like a pocket Giannis. A little bit. Now, another guy that we need to talk about is Kaman Mollylock out of Duke. Mollylock is a 7'2" mobile center. Runs the floor, blocks shots, he does all that. He does have some touch around the rim, flashes in the mid-range. Questions are raw offensive skills, limited high-level reps, long rebuild timeline. All depends on who you are. Common is an international swing that could age beautifully or test your development program limits. This is true. He's so big. He's so tall. My whole thing with the draft and what is going on is twofold. One, just like with the NFL draft, the NBA draft has this like certain things like they believe in, and then it just becomes cross-germinated with everybody else, right? You got this thing, you're like, what's going on? I got this like Superman curl thing going on my head, and I'm trying to get rid of it. It's crazy. Anyways, you're sitting there and you're trying to pick these dudes up and trying to pick these guys, and Kaman Mollylock is a freak athlete. Stupid big, great hands, rim roller, all of these things. And then you see a guy like Thomas Sorber, who was like flirting with the top 10 for a while, then kind of fell back to earth. I don't know why. Defensive IQ high, screens well, rebounds for his position, underrated shot blocker for sure, low key. And I am just bewildered by like just people. I see other people who are in like whatever with the draft and things of that nature, and I kind of go, oh, okay, you have them there, all right, well, and then you just want to hear why, and it's just you just wish there was more. Just wish there was more. As for Kaman, he's mobile, he blocks shots, he competes his ass off, but right now he's a big with unproven feet, limited decision making windows against elite defenses. They let him have the ball as much. So then we talked about Sorber, we talked about some of the things he could do. He's just super smart too. I like him a lot. He's not flashy, he's just solid. And teams crave reliable defensive anchors that can plug in a year or two. They just love those type of things. He's going to be interviewing well, testing strong, and in the mobility drills, if he can hit a decent percentage of the threes, I mean, he's going to make a lot of money. He's going to move up in the draft. So we have talked about draft picks. We have talked about the Cleveland Cavaliers. We have talked about the we talked about the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Golden State Warriors, and the Houston Rockets. So we have exhausted our time here today, and I want to thank Soraya for providing all the stats and notes. I want to thank the rest of the crew for doing what they do. I can't do it without you, and I promise that this is going to be a live audio. It's gonna have real robust sounding vents, probably some other sounds that you don't want to hear, but my voice will be on there as well. So with that being said, the best part of you is you. Surround yourself with people not only that are going to support you, they're going to champion your causes. They're going to be in your corner when you need them most. And if you have those people and you recognize that they are doing these things and haven't shown these characteristics, appreciate them, acknowledge them, hug them, text them, DM them, let them know that you are there for them as they are there for you. Because here's the thing, if you got somebody like that in your life who's in your corner like that, you need to hang on to those. And if that's the type of squad you're trying to build, well, there's always a seat for you here at Front Runner Podcast Collective, because it just means more when it's full of love, support from real ones. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, we are out of here. We'll see you on Friday. We're gonna give it to you. It's gonna be a feel good Friday, and that's all you really need to know. It'll be a Friday extravaganza. Stay tuned for it. For Soraya, I am Vince. Deuce.